911 emergency.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch. Because if we're speaking dispatch, hey, we're talking it to you. We're talking to you. Come on, listen to this thing up. Tell your friends about us out there. So today's a really great episode. We've got Joe up there. Joe, how goes it in your state of Iowa?
Absolutely amazing. The Field of Dreams game was just a few months ago or a month ago, and it was
nice.
awesome.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. If you build it.
Yep.
So that's a good run. And I just love the part where it says, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. It's like, and in the bottom down there, we got Glenna. Glenna, how goes your, well, you're kind of moving around. So you're not necessarily where you were before. Where are you moving to now? So.
Yeah, I'm still up in Central California area. We're moving to Utah. It was supposed to be today. Weaver's never showed up. So it'll probably be, we have to be out of the house by Friday. So I'll either be in Chino or Utah or Bakersfield or wherever. I'll be somewhere sometime this week.
Wow.
3 different states.
Okay. And we know our friend Leslie is moving across the country today too, or she would have been with us.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she sure is. So, and our special guest, Conrad down there. Conrad, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have as a claim to fame. Go ahead.
Well, I am a filmmaker. I live in Maryland, so I'm actually in the town of Emmitsburg, Maryland. And if you're a firefighter, you probably know about Emmitsburg.
Yeah.
It's the home of the National Fire Academy, the National Emergency Training Center, the National Fallen Firefighter Memorial is here. Just right, I can walk to it, so it's right here. It's a very small town, but this is where the world headquarters of Conjo Studios is located. And I say world headquarters because I got to use my which hand here. I have lots of connections in Ukraine. So I was just talking
I see that.
Look at
I was talking to Ukrainian literally just 30 minutes ago. I was talking to Ukrainian and about a trip over there that's coming up. So, but yeah, so I'm a filmmaker. I tell stories that matter. That's my claim to fame, I guess. And I am currently working on my 4th feature-length documentary film called PTSD911.
There we go. Look at that.
So
Awesome.
Shameless plug. I love it.
You know what? That's what this is about,
That's
man.
why he's here.
You know what? I did forget one thing. No, I did forget one of the most important people around here, and that's Jill sitting behind me. Hello, Jill.
Hi, how are you?
Good Lord, I'm sorry. I forgot
Hi,
about
Jill.
texting you. So it's like,
That's okay.
I'll pay for that later. Anyway, so your movie that you're making there, what's it kind of centering on, the PTSD in all public safety, or what is it?
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit to where it started. So in 2018, I released a film called Heroin Script. And while I was making that film, all shot locally here in Maryland, story about the opioid crisis. I was doing ride-alongs with law enforcement, fire and EMS services, just to get their perspectives on the opioid crisis. And one of those calls I was with a police officer, and we got called to a fatal overdose scene. Not something that as a civilian that I'm accustomed to seeing. And it was quite shocking to, put it mildly, to walk in the room and there was chaos in the house and there was a body laying there. And so that afternoon, as I was driving home, I was trying to figure out what I just experienced. And then my mind went right to the first responders on the scene. And I thought, okay, this is, it was just another Tuesday for these guys, but they see things that are way worse than just a body. And I thought, okay, how do these things impact first responders? And so I started Googling this. This was about 3 years ago. I started Googling this, and I was like, uncovered this whole problem of post-traumatic stress in first responders. And then as a filmmaker, I always say, okay, who's my competition? Who else has told this story? And I searched for that, and my results came up to a big fat goose egg.
And you kept searching.
There was lots of films about PTSD and veterans and that very serious problematic issue, but there was virtually nothing about first responders. And so after I talked to the officer that I was on scene with that day, and she was like, oh man, this is the problem. And she said, I will do everything I can to help you make this film made. Well, she is now the police officer in my film. And so we're telling her story of post-traumatic stress, which is quite compelling. And so like I say, I'm an old farmer guy, so I throw my hat over the fence, and now I have to go chase it and try to avoid the running bulls and getting trampled by the powers that be. But yeah, so for the last 3 years, I've been working on this film. COVID kind of shut down my other
I bet.
production stuff. I had film screenings planned for my previous films around the country that shut down, but that allowed me to build relationships, you know, mostly via Zoom, build relationships with first responders from all over the country. Working with a co-producer who helped vet our stories. And so we would get people submitted their stories on a form on our website. And then she would then call these people, have Zoom meetings with them and say, hey, this person just wants their 15 minutes of fame, or this person really has a story we want to tell.
Yeah.
And so that's what we were after. We were after compelling stories. And so we're working with fire, police, EMS, and dispatch. Fire and EMS are kind of combined. It was interesting that during COVID, we called and reached out to national leaders of EMS organizations, very similar to APCO or NINA, but these are in the EMS department. They were like, hey, we're kind of busy right now. Call us back in a year. Which, you know, I totally understood that, but they have really been the most challenging organization for people to get into.
Yeah.
And a little skeptical, you know, what story are you telling? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the 911 community has welcomed me and embraced me with open arms. You know, both NINA and APCO, those organizations. NINA endorsed the project. We have one of their past presidents on our advisory board, Monica Million.
Yeah.
And so
good.
we have Jim Marshall is also on my advisory board.
Okay.
So we have just a number of really star people. The third 911 person on my advisory team is Dr. Michelle Lilly. She is on my team as well. And so, you know, as a part, and how 911 came into the picture was, it wasn't on my radar. And I was working with fire and police and our local president of our fire company, I was talking to him and he's like, have you thought about 911? I said, well, tell me about that. So he told me a few things and he said, I'm a dispatcher and, you know, we hear it, we don't get closure.
Yeah.
You know, there's other issues that we face. And I was like, well, obviously you're the first responders. I got to have you guys in my film. So that's how
nice.
the 911 community came into the film.
That's good.
So,
I mean, because Glenna is like our kind of resident person that talks a lot about this particular field of things out there. So I mean, she is like always pushing that kind of thing. So I'm sure, Glenna, you probably have a question about this.
I've got 10,000 questions. And a lot of stuff I want to give you, but you do have a good advisory board. So that's good. I do have a few questions though, if you don't mind. From what aspect, like I know you said that you're going to have people telling the stories, but in your documentary, is it just the story part? Or are you going to talk about how to overcome PTSD, or I call it PTSI, but how to overcome it or live with it? We're looking into, I work with an organization called the TAC Team, and it's a nonprofit, and they pay for first responders to go through neurofeedback and a whole wellness program. And so I'm really into that right now, and I want to see that pushed. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to do as far as like going through the process of PTSI.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're tracking with 3 individuals, a dispatcher, a firefighter, and a police officer, and we're following their wellness journey. And for wherever it leads, you know, we don't want to tie it up in a nice bow and say, hey, they're all fixed, because the journey continues, right?
Right.
And so we're tracking with them. In order to make a compelling story, you got to have a story arc, you got to have conflict, you got to have, you know, wins and losses. You got to have those things that make a compelling story. If I just have talking heads that talk about, you know, the scientific stuff about this, everybody's going to be yawning and clicking the next channel. So you bring in stories that are compelling. In fact, I just showed the first 20 minutes to some friends of mine yesterday right here in my studio. They were like, we want to see the rest of this. We want to see what happens to these people.
Yeah.
And so what I do is without any spoilers here, I track with these folks. So I've been out to California 5 times filming with my firefighter. I've been, you know, working with my dispatcher who now lives in South Dakota. I've been working with my police officer here, and over the past 3 years, you know, meeting with them periodically to give updates, to get B-roll. But then I'm also interviewing story matter experts. So psychologists and
Oh,
leaders
good.
leaders of these organizations and people who have been in the trenches for a long time. And really what we want to do is we have three goals for the film. One is to raise awareness. Most civilians don't really understand what first responders do, and certainly what they face. They really, and specifically, especially, they don't understand what 911 operators face and what they deal with. So
definitely.
we want to raise awareness. The second thing we want to do is we want to help break the stigma of asking for help. As we know, that's a problem for most of us, but especially in the first responder community. It's, the fear of, I'm going to be seen as weak. I'm going to be, they're going to take my badge and my gun. They're going to put me on desk duty. So we want to break that stigma. And so we're showcasing people that have raised their hands, said, hey, you know what? Here's a firefighter. He's got tattoos. He's a tough guy. He's done all the stuff, but he said, my life went off the rails and I had to ask for help. And so
awesome.
We want to show that. And the third thing we want to do, and probably the most challenging goal we have, is to inspire change in agencies. And so how we're doing that is we're showcasing agencies that are doing things better than most. So we have found some agencies that are amazing, and we're doing a deep dive with them. We've interviewed their chiefs, their leaders, interviewed their rank and file folks, and showing what they have done, what they are doing to take care of their members. And they're spending money. Yes, they're also doing things that don't cost as much money. But I want a chief, in Timbuktu to say, you know what, if Chief Neil Gang in Pinole, California can do this, we can do it here.
Yes.
And make that a priority. And so those are what we want to do.
That's impressive. Wow.
So it's not just, the tragedy of the stories, which, are compelling, but we want to bring in those stories that will inspire others to step it up and to make a change.
Yeah.
So if you're speaking to the people that are listening, what would you tell them where they can see it, when they can see it, and describing it in like 2 or 3 sentences, maybe in a trailer type format or whatever? If you were to preview this
Let's put them on the
project,
spot.
what are you going to say, and where and when can they see it?
Yeah. So the first thing is, if you want to get a taste for what it is, go to PTSD911.com and you can see our trailer. We have about a 3.5 minute. It's a little longer than a trailer, somewhat more of a promo, but it'll really give you a feel for the story behind what we're doing. And that's really the best way. It's really a story about first responders and their journey to wellness and the process that it takes to get to a healthy place. Because my goal is, when I call 911, I want someone healthy to answer the phone, and I want a healthy responder to show up on my doorstep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as a civilian, I want to be proactive in helping our local first responders, our local organizations, the bean counters in the cities and the counties, to provide the resources necessary to take care of our first responders. Because I live in Emmitsburg. We have a volunteer fire company here, have a couple EMTs that are full-time, but mostly everybody that responds on a fire truck is a volunteer. They're getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, jumping on a truck, going, taking care of someone else's problem. I'm comfortable in my bed. We have to do everything we can to take care of them, whether they're volunteer or full-time.
Wow.
And the second part of your question, Joe, is where can people see that? The best way to keep up with what we're doing is go to our website and register with your email. We do weekly updates on the email. It's going to be widely available. We're premiering it in Dallas, Texas later this year. And then we will be doing screening events all across the country. I already have a couple dozen emails in my inbox, people asking to bring the film to their community.
Wow.
And so, but probably for me personally, the most fun thing that we're going to do to roll this film out literally is I'm going to roll across the country on a bicycle from Oregon to Maryland. And we're going to be stopping along the way, showing the film.
Get out.
So you're going to need first responders along the way.
Absolutely. Well, my goal is to stay at firehouses because they have bunks, they have showers, and they have food. So we're going to stay at firehouses, and then we're going to, because they let us stay there, we're going to show the film and put on community events. And so that's one of the avenues of how we're going to roll it out. But then it's also going to be available. We're going to have a a world premiere streaming event. And so this will be kind of, you buy a ticket to attend, it'll be streamed to your TV, your household, your agency can get together and, you know, buy one ticket and watch. And that's going to be kind of streamed live. And then we're also, as a part of that stream, we're at the world premiere in Dallas, we're recording our Q&A.
Wow.
And so we're bringing a whole panel of experts to Dallas for a Q&A after the event. And Tom Morris Jr., the co-host of Live PD, will be there. He will be there to MC that event.
How great is that?
Look at you.
And Tom Morris is on my advisory team, so he's on my board and has been a huge just an advocate for the film, and
that is cool,
and really believes in what we're doing. So we're going to be excited to roll that out. Then eventually we're going to have a toolkit available. And so we're working with the International Critical Incident Stress Foundation.
Okay.
The National Alliance on Mental Illness is my top sponsor right now. We're working with them to create a toolkit that agencies can purchase. So it'll be the film, it'll be all the surrounding stuff that goes with it, that they can use to train their members. I already have agencies who are using the trailer in their training. And I had one.
I'm going to get a hold of that trailer.
I had an agency trainer said, it's in my PowerPoint. I just use it every time we do training. I play that.
That's cool.
And so, which is what we want. And so once the film comes out, it'll be a huge tool that agencies can use for training. And then it'll sit on the streamers out there. All my previous films are on Amazon. So it'll probably end up on Amazon at some point. So it'll be widely distributed.
It's going to be a great experience for everybody, because we need to get that message out to everybody that this is real. This is a real thing. It's not something just to say, oh, come on, buck up, you can hold on to this thing. And it's like, I just love the fact that we're getting that message out, and you're going to push it out there big time. You know, and I'd love to join on that bicycle ride thing, but I really can't because I don't want to. So
you're just so busy, or what?
I'm real busy. So.
I don't want to because I'll die.
I just want to say real quick, Conrad, I'm so happy that you sent us that email while we were at APCO and we came and met you at that rooftop bar. I mean, what a great email and great person to meet and get to know and spend a few days with. And I'm so glad we met you. And now we can push your movie, and
we'll definitely link it off of our video here.
Well, you know what, the event that I hosted at APCO, it was like one of these things that, okay, I'm gonna be there by myself. I don't know a whole lot of people. Maybe I can meet some people. Maybe if I entice them to come to a rooftop bar.
Public safety
dispatchers really well.
I needed friends, you know, so there you go. No, but it was a really fun event, and thank you for showing up and being there and being able to hang out with you guys that week was fantastic.
That was and you actually did our 3 words video thing, so we're that's up too. So that's
good.
We did all those things. So we really appreciate you coming by today. Man, it's so great. And when we get closer to the thing, maybe we'll have you jump back on to say it's coming out Tuesday or whatever it is out there. So but we will link your website on here, and I hope people do register for it. I've already done it. I already got the email back saying, you know, you're in or whatever. And it's like, it's something for all of us in the business. If you're sitting here watching this video, it's for you. So you should be trying to get this thing. So,
and the thing is, if you when you register on with the email, you'll get an email that'll give you a discount code for the streaming premiere. So when that comes out, you'll use that little code and you'll get a discount on the streaming.
Look at that.
So
very nice.
Joe, what we can do with our agencies is we can make it an agency event. I'm just thinking, because I'm the peer support coordinator, I can set that up, but you can go into your agency and you can make it like a premiere. Absolutely. And just imagine like what would come of that. I'm totally thinking how we can make that happen. Said it was November.
So Joe, you're in Iowa?
Yep, in Iowa. Yep.
So where in Iowa?
East side in Cedar Rapids area.
Okay, because we're probably going to be pedaling right through there.
Okay, I'll definitely keep my contact information handy. And one of the things, Conrad, that you said in this is you needed to meet friends. Well, coming on We Speak Dispatch will definitely let you do that because we're nearing 17,000 plays on our podcast, and we're in 35 different countries, and we're going to blast you out all over the place. And I know that we are excited about that. Your message is going to do something for 911 dispatchers, officers, firefighters across the nation. We're proud to meet you. We're proud that you're doing this for 911 because we need it. Everybody in 911 911 definitely
Yes.
needs it. And I'm going to kick it back over to Doug to probably close this thing out because our
You know,
time's about up.
I can't close it any better than Joe just did. Thanks a lot, Conrad, for showing up, and we'll definitely be back in touch with
Thank
all
you,
y'all.
Conrad.
Tell your friends about our podcasts and our episodes. Until next time, everybody, have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, this is Jill, and you've been listening to another great episode of We Speak Dispatch, proudly sponsored by our friends at Zybex.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
911